About this, Marwan Bishara, who's joining us via Skype from Paris. Marwan, good to have you with us on the NewsHour. I want to talk to you about these increased Israeli actions in the occupied West Bank. What changes have you noticed in the way the Israelis have responded to these demonstrations against the occupation? Demonstrations which are not new, but the Israeli tactics in responding to them seems to have changed.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Israel has used its unraveling genocide in Gaza, the war on Gaza, in order to execute similar policies, though not at the same scale yet, in the West Bank. And clearly, we've seen a degree of repression, of intervention, of military deployment in various parts of the West Bank that we haven't seen at least since 2002. So clearly, the Israelis are up to no good in the West Bank. Now, it happened to be that this sort of solidarity movement with the Palestinian people, in fact, started back with the Second Intifada around 2001, 2002, when international observers like Aisha Noor would appear on the West Bank and would witness. They are international witnesses of Israeli crimes against the Palestinian people. And I think it was in the same vein that we had similar witnesses in Gaza. The idea was that the world is not going to simply turn its back, that those young people would show up there and Israel would not be able to take advantage of international indifference and continue to repress the Palestinians. So that protest movement has continued for the past 20 years, except that Israel, with its fanatic fascist-like government, it's really cracking down not only on the Palestinians, but on the international movements that is witnessing, observing, and supporting.
Tell us more about the ways in which the occupation itself has changed since the war on Gaza began, and what is ultimately the Israelis' objective in the occupied West Bank.
Well, to be accurate, the overall change happened over time, notably as Israel grew more fanatic and more fascist, and its government became more radical, more extreme, and certainly more religious, like this government and the previous government. We've seen the expansion of illegal settlements, the theft of land, the incursion into Palestinian cities that are considered part of so-called Area A, meaning they are supposed to be part and parcel of the jurisdiction of the Palestinian Authority, not Israel. But over the past few years, and especially the past year, Israel has deployed its troops even to places like Ramallah, the de facto center of the Palestinian Authority. So the repression, the theft, the killings in the West Bank is basically now happening in huge scale, probably unprecedented. And it seems that it's going to continue, and that's the worst part of it, meaning the worst part is not behind us, that perhaps it's in front of us, because the fanatics in this Netanyahu government are threatening that after Gaza, it will be the West Bank.
Right. And what is also concerning here, I guess, is that there is no international power, outside power that seems to be willing to rein in the Israelis. When you look at the case of this American-Turkish activist, for example, she is American, but the Americans so far have not said they would launch an investigation into her killing. How do you reflect on that? And how do we ensure that that there is accountability for this killing and other killings that have occurred in the West Bank, but also the Gaza Strip, of course?
This is the thing for you, right? There is no accountability. There's accounting, right? In America, in the end of the day, people are dying in their thousands every day, right? I mean, in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and Miami, people die all the time. The value of human life in America is not necessarily that important. And people die, Americans die all over the world all the time. Their lives count when they, for example, die in Russia, or they die in China, or die in Venezuela, But when they are killed by an American ally, their life does not really count that much. The accounting is the accounting of geopolitics. There is no accountability, really. That's why when you hear the likes of Miller going like, transparency, credibility, blah, blah, blah. I don't even understand what he said. Clearly, he didn't mean what he said when he talked about credible, transparent, and rapid investigation into the killing of Aisha. He did not mean that. And the Biden administration does not mean that. And when we talk about hypocrisy or double standard, there is no double standard, really. I mean, there is, but there isn't when it comes to foreign policy. There's one standard, power, American power. So America supports its ally Israel, supports its ally Ukraine. It doesn't matter how much violation of human rights Israel and Ukraine carry. What matters is what sort of human violation Hamas or Iran or Russia or China carry. So all of these issues really are defined within the geopolitics of American foreign policy. We must continue to demand for accountability, for justice, for the end of American hypocrisy. But we must also recognize all the time that this is and has been part and parcel of American/Western foreign policy. They might be democracies, but their foreign policy is not democratic.
Marwan, always good to hear your analysis. Marwan Bishara is our senior political analyst live there in Paris. Meanwhile,
make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.